Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Valley Public Forum video podcast. This podcast features issues of interest to the residents of the Mid-Ohio Valley area, mainly encompassing Wood County, West Virginia, and Washington County, Ohio. Right now, with the coronavirus pandemic, civic life has changed greatly throughout the country.
This is an election year, and one of the big changes is that candidates are not able to campaign for office as they normally would. Generally, in a usual year, they would be out knocking on doors, going to meet and greets, going to soup bean dinners, ice cream socials, shaking hands, kissing babies. They can't do any of that now.
So many of our initial podcasts will be interviews with candidates for local office. If you're a candidate for a local office and you're interested in being interviewed for the show, you can reach out to us either through our Facebook page, that's the MOV Public Forum, or at movpublicforum@gmail.com.
Today we'll be interviewing Andrea Greer. Andrea goes by Red. Red is a candidate for City Council District 1 in Parkersburg. Welcome, Red. We're glad you could join us this afternoon.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Glad to do it. So let's dive right in. How would you introduce yourself as a candidate? Do you have an elevator speech? So if we were traveling on an elevator and you had 1 minute between floors, how would you persuade me to vote for you?
Well, I absolutely can't be bought. I refuse to take any sort of corporate money. I don't believe in the money and politics that we have going on right now. I think that people should serve their constituents. If you elect me, I'm going to serve you. You don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to sell out and take the side of big business or something that's bad for my constituents. I want what's best for my district.
So what is motivating you to run for office right now? What's the main thing that made you decide to step up and run?
Honestly, Bernie Sanders. He's very emphatic about it's not me, it's us. And Stephen Smith says, you know, we don't need one leader, we need 1,000 leaders. And that is so true. We can't rely on the people at the top of the food chain to take care of us little guys. We got to take care of us little guys. And if we're not willing to step up and run for office, even though I am so uncomfortable running for office, if we won't step up and do it, then we're going to leave it open to the people who are going to abuse their power. And I couldn't take it anymore. We have to do something different. We've got to make a better future for our kids.
What do you think is your wow factor? In other words, what would make someone who hears about you and your candidacy say, wow, I'm going to vote for that person?
I think I have a few, actually. I'm really, really passionate about politics, and I have been since I was 15 years old. So I'm not new to this game. I'm new to being a candidate, but I'm not new to politics, and I understand how the machine works. But also that fact that I'm not going to be bought, that if you elect me, you can trust me to take care of you. I think that's the thing that people need from their politicians. And if it takes somebody like me who's not really a politician and may not be the best suited person to be a politician, I still want to give people the opportunity to vote for somebody who's going to take care of them, who's going to be honest with them.
So if you're elected, what's the one thing you really want to accomplish during your term in office? Is there a city ordinance that you want to abolish or create or change? Or is it something else?
I am very concerned about the non-discrimination ordinance that did not pass when it came up in city council last time. I believe that all humans are equal and we all deserve equal rights and equal protections, and being discriminated against because of anything that you can't control, your skin color, your religion, your sexual preference, if that's something that you're being discriminated against for, that's wrong. We need to stop that. And that's the first thing that I would really like to get done when I'm in city council, is to get that non-discrimination ordinance put back up and to get it passed.
How do you feel about compromise?
I think compromise is necessary, but I think compromise is necessary on both parts. You can't go to the negotiating table and say, hey, I want all of this and I'm not going to give you anything of what you want. That's obviously not compromise. So you have to give a little to get a little, but you have to be principled while you're doing it. And you have to have a line that you say, I'm not going to go past this line. This is the very least that I expect to accomplish.
How well do you play with others? And can you give me an example?
Well, actually, I used to be a filmmaker, and I directed a couple of films, and we had 48 hours to do all the stuff for the film, and that created a very high pressure situation. And I was able to lead my teams to get something put together and submitted for the contest that we were entering. And while I was in school, I was also very much the leader for the people in my classes, especially the creative classes. I don't know if it was because I was a little older than they were and a little more confident in myself, or if they just didn't have any ideas. But I did my best to try to make sure everybody felt welcome in what I was doing, and to give everybody the chance to share their ideas and their wants for the projects.
What do you think your worst enemy would say is your worst quality?
Tenacity. I'm a little bit of a pit bull. When I get my teeth in something, I tend to stay with it, and people who don't like me don't like that.
What would you say is your best quality?
Tenacity. You know, the thing that my enemies hate about me is the thing that I love about myself. I am tenacious, and I am passionate, and I am driven to take care of people. And I always have been. And it irritates me when others don't see the point of taking care of all of us. We're a society. We're supposed to help each other.
Political office holders are leaders. Can you describe your leadership style?
I think that I try very hard to be fair. And when it's necessary to get out in front and be the one producing the ideas and pushing things to get done, I can do that. But when I need to be in the trenches and understanding the problems on the ground, then I can do that too. I definitely don't think that anybody should be totally in control of anything about a project. If you are trying to accomplish something and you are working with a team, you need to respect that team and bring them in and get their ideas and respect what they have to say.
What are your personal core values?
I believe that all people are humans, and they all deserve dignity and respect and community. These are issues that we struggle with every day. Even in our small town, we have people who are shunned and ostracized because of whatever reason. We need to be more inclusive, and we need to be less obstructive of other people's happiness.
Do you know your win number?
I do not know my win number exactly. I have been trying to find that out. The information on the city council district level is very, very scant. There's not a lot that goes down that far. Most of it is district level on the county scale instead of on the city scale. I know that I have constituents in my district, and I know that they are evenly distributed pretty much between Democrat, Republican, and Independent. In 2016, it was 43% turnout in Wood County. So 43% of my Democrats, perhaps, maybe a little more. But no, I don't have that exact number, and I do apologize for that. I've been trying, but it's kind of hard to find.
That's just one of those, you know, some folk really rely on that number, and some folk just, you know.
Well, you know, like I said, I have 1,800 constituents. I want to get as many votes as possible. I want to have as many people under my tent as I can get, because the more diversity I have in my coalition, the better I'm going to be able to represent the people who voted for me.
How often have you attended Parkersburg City Council meetings as a citizen?
I have been to a couple of them. I don't go to a lot of them simply because a lot of it is very, it doesn't require my input, and it doesn't require my thought process. I'm just a regular citizen. Those are things that city council has to deal with, and well, whether I'm there or not is not going to make a difference. However, as a council member, obviously I would be at every city council meeting, and I would be taking care of all of the issues that were put in front of me. And I certainly wouldn't be bored or unhappy to do it.
How do you keep up with what's going on with city council when you're not in attendance?
I read up on both the Sentinel and the WTAP website. I do a lot of reading on that. I was disconcerted when I first started following city council that it's kind of hard to find information. I mean, you have news stories, but you go to the city council website and it's just pictures of those city council members and maps of their districts. There's no information there. So, you know, I would definitely look at making that something that I would push for, is to get more information and more accessible information, especially on votes and things from our council members.
What do you see as the main role of our city council in a strong mayor government like Parkersburg has?
I think that the role of city council is to understand what their constituents want and to push for that. I know that the city charter has very strong mayor powers, and the city council.
We've lost sound.
Can you hear me?
What do you think what do you think you'll enjoy the least about serving if you're elected?
You know, I'm not sure, because I've never been on city council before. Probably paperwork. I'm not big on paperwork, don't like paperwork, but I'll do it when it needs to be done. So probably that.
What excites you most about serving on city council?
Moving forward for Parkersburg. Parkersburg has so much potential. It could be such a shining beacon for West Virginia, and we could be so much more than what we are. And I want to move us in that direction, and I'm really, really excited to do that.
As a citizen of Parkersburg, tell me what you're most proud about our city.
I think that the best thing that we have going for us is that we do have civic events. I've lived in other places where civic events weren't really very important. And it's really nice. You know, the first year I lived here, everybody was like, "Are you going to homecoming?" And I was like, "What, the high school dance thing? What are you talking about?" So I think it's really neat that we have these civic minded festivals and things where obviously not now, but in normal times, everybody can get out and we can all meet each other and get to know our neighbors and see each other in capacities other than in the grocery store or walking down the street or doing our jobs. We can see each other in a more social setting, and I think that's really important for our community.
With that, we'll move into the hot seat. These are the next series of questions are hot button issues. One or the both of us, often both, have been present at nearly every single city council meeting since the current council was sworn in. We've noticed that a lot of what the council does is routine and not of a whole lot of interest to the public. We've also noticed that a lot of the issues that come up in council are not controversial and are either resolved by a unanimous or close to unanimous vote.
But there have been several hot button issues that got a lot of public interest or divided the council or both. And so the issues have been resolved for the most part, but they can always come back up. So we'd like to get your take on them.
Okay.
For this purpose, we'll use a support, not support, or support with changes format. So these are kind of quick answers. You don't have to go into a whole lot of depth unless you just feel the need to. But here we go. The non-discrimination ordinance.
I obviously support that. I was very sad that it didn't pass.
The motorized bicycle ban.
I do not support that. I think if the police need to figure out a better way to enforce the rules, then they need to figure that out. It's not up to city council to say, well, now you can't have your motorized bike.
Raising city fees for trash collection, fire, and police protection.
That depends on what they would be using that money for. If they're using it for improvements or raises for our people who are out there working every day, great. If they're using it for something else, maybe not so great. So that would be something I'd have to see what they were wanting it for.
Financial support for Parkersburg Homecoming or other civic events.
I fully support that. Fully support financially supporting our civic events.
A fireworks ban.
That's one of those that, you know, I think it's a good idea to say, okay, you can use them during this time, because outside of those times, then that would be a reason to maybe call and say, hey, there's a nuisance going on. But during those times, great, use your fireworks.
Splash pad project.
I'm worried about the splash pad project. There have been some injuries there, and it costs a lot of money to build in the first place. How long is it going to take to recoup that? What changes do we need to make to keep our kids safe? There's a lot that's going on there, and it needs to be explored more fully.
A social media or code of conduct policy.
Totally support that. Totally support that. I would be happy to be subject to any kind of social media or code of conduct that the city council saw fit to pass.
Dumpster fencing and cleanup.
I support that To an extent. It shouldn't be required if businesses can't afford it, but if they want to do that, I think they should be able to do that.
Residential property cleanup.
Residential property cleanup needs to happen in Parkersburg. It really, really does. We have some really bad properties, and they've got to be taken care of.
Well, you've managed to run the gauntlet, and the last section of questions should be pretty easy. What's your favorite thing or place in our city?
The Riverwalk. I love the Riverwalk. It's so pretty down there, and you can sit on the little swings and watch the barges go by. It's just gorgeous. I love it.
We keep hearing that. I think they're going to have to put some more swings in.
Yes.
There's a waiting list for people to sit in the swing.
Yes.
What are you personally passionate about?
My family and politics. You know, my family, I love my family to death. I'd do anything for them. And politics, well, politics controls everything from the water you drink to the air you breathe to the food you eat. Politics is the fabric of life in the U.S. and more of us need to be involved. I'm really passionate about that.
What do you do in your off time?
I am a freelance writer, and I also create jewelry and do other artsy things, painting and things of that nature, sculpture, and take care of my kid. Definitely take care of my kid and the cats.
And what is most unique about you?
Wow. I think what's most unique about me is that I am unwilling to be somebody's gopher. I don't want to do things because somebody else wants me to do them. I want to do them because they're the right thing. And I think that gets lost a lot of the time, especially for politicians. If you're going to do something, do it because it's the right thing, not because you get paid for it, not because some business owner wants you to do it. Do it because it's the right thing for your constituents. And I think that's pretty unique, unfortunately, in the political sphere.
With that, we'd like to give you a few minutes to tell us and the voters anything you feel like we've missed or that we need to know, including how to get more information on your campaign, how to get in touch with you, donate, get involved, etc.
Okay. You can find my website at redgreerwv.com. That's redgreerwv.com. You can find me on Facebook at Greer for City Council District 1. There might be Parkersburg in there. Greer for Parkersburg City Council District 1. And what I want voters to know is I will work for you. I'm not afraid to do the hard work that needs to be done to ensure that our children have a better future. Not afraid to take on the powers that make it hard to live here. I'm not afraid to say no more pollution. I'm not afraid to say we need clean water. I'm not afraid to say we need to welcome all of our citizens equally into the community that we have here, because it's a wonderful community, but we can make it better. And that's what I want to do.
All right. Well, Andrea, I'm sorry. We welcome, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us this afternoon, and stay safe and well. Wash those hands.
Oh, I certainly will. Oh, and also, if anybody needs a mask, please get in touch with me because I sew them. And if you don't have one, I'd be happy to make one for you.
That's so nice. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.